Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin mining stocks. Let's start off with the Fear and Greed Index. Currently, we are in extreme greed for crypto, and we have overall been in an uptrend for some time now. When we had our recent top in greed, as far as March, that's when we were blasting into new all-time high territory. And I like to see that we are staying up here. We do have this slight downward trend, so hopefully we can keep accumulating up in the zone. And a reason why I say that is when you take a look at the last two times Bitcoin has been this high in greed, this time was a mid-cycle top where we went down and even went down again a bit further when we had the Black Swan event, the COVID crash. And that was right here. We had the top in 2017. The mid-cycle top I was just showing you was right here. It was that first time that it peaked on the greed scale. The next time was when we broke prior all-time highs from 2017 in late 2020, early 2021. That was up here. Now, the top that was made in Bitcoin wasn't made until later when greed came down a little bit. So I do like seeing accumulation here, just like we've had accumulation back here and shot up higher again. And the very top of Bitcoin in 2021 was over here, and it was a short-lived top. So I am hoping that we get a nice steady rise to the top like we did in 2017 and 2021. Now, of course, there's going to be little bits of pullbacks that are going to happen. But as long as you've been buying in when prices have been low and have been dollar cost averaging in, I still think you could see some pretty good gains in the market. This is Bitcoin right now, and this is important to look at because what Bitcoin does has a large effect on what the altcoins do and what the miner stocks do. So as you can see, Bitcoin, we did make that recent all-time high not too long ago, got up as high as 74,000, and over the last month, we've been staying above. This gray line was the prior all-time high in 2021, or pretty close to it. So we've been staying above that, which is pretty good. And as far as stocks, fear and greed, well, we are in greed, which is anything around 50 to 75. When we are above 75, that's extreme greed. So things are looking pretty bullish in the markets. Let's get into our minor stocks. And the first one we're going to take a look at is Marathon Digital Holdings. Let's zoom out a little bit. So with these, I drew fibs from the high to the low. And what you'll see is Mara is trying to get above this 618 over here, but it does look like it may come down to the 0.5. We'll see. We recently had a sell signal up here when we made it above the 618. However, we do have a higher low. We could come down to the 0.5 fib, but I don't know if we will because you can see the 20 moving average is pretty strong support, and the 10 moving average, I'd like to see us get above that. So as far as Marathon Digital Holdings, overall, it's looking good. It's in an upward trend. The 200 moving average, that blue line, is on the 0.5 as well. Now, you might be wondering, what are some possible price targets? Mara has a market cap of $6 billion right now. So anytime you read price targets online, if people are saying Mara is going to 200 or 2,000, make sure you consider the market cap and know that it's something that can be reasonably achieved. Now, I want to show you guys something. Remember how I showed you when we were going up to those peaks in extreme greed when the real bull run started late in 2020. Look at the price of Marathon Digital Holdings here. It's around $2.50 in mid-November. And by the time we were in early April, so that's 4 months, a little bit more than that. By the time we were in early April, we got up to over $50. So that's a 20x inside of 2 months. That is why when I say some of these predictions, I know it seems crazy. However, these things can happen. So something to consider though is this was already above the very lows that we had before. Maybe I would compare that to a price around here, around 9, or now that we're at 20, who knows? There's diminishing returns every time with Bitcoin and with crypto. So that's something to consider, all because we had a 20x here. And if you go from down here, man, that was a 100x if you bought the very bottom. So there is diminishing returns. If you got the bottom, congratulations. But every time we go through these new cycles, if you bought in Bitcoin over here, you could have seen a 2000x, here a 20x, a 10x, maybe here a 5x. Diminishing returns aren't a bad thing, but do know the crazy gains we've seen before in certain assets, miners, and altcoins, they won't be the same. But as far as targets, what I like to take a look at are these extended fibs. And I take my fib scale and I take it off log, and I'll show where some of these targets are. The 1618, the 2618. Right now, Mara is at 21 bucks. So if we did around a 10x, and if you believe it would, I'm not saying it's going to, I'm not even sure it'll make new all-time highs, but if we did get a bull run like we did in 21, I would assume we would. I would be looking between these two targets, me personally. And that 10x, man, it's really close to that 2618. So myself personally, not financial advice for you, I would have some, if I have Marathon right now, I'd have some sell orders near or just under this price. A 10x inside of half a year, never a bad thing. Not saying it has to happen, who knows, probably won't. But that is something I look for when I'm looking at possible price targets in crypto. I know it seems crazy. I've been through this twice, in 2017 and in 2021. So I'm assuming it would happen again, but you never know. Doesn't mean it has to. Next, let's take a look at RIOT platforms, and let's change this fib and put it on log scale. For the rest of the video, I'll just be taking a look from the highs to the lows. Maybe a couple I will show some possible price targets, but now that I showed you guys how to do that, you can go on TradingView and do it yourself. And again, you just draw a fib from the high to the low, take it off log, and you can see some of those extensions. For RIOT, right now, we are still coiling in this wedge pattern. I don't think it'd be the worst to buy right now. I would wait for confirmation on a weekly buy signal. That's what those green dots are. But again, all because we get weekly buy signals does not mean we can't go lower. So don't live and die by technical analysis. Part of my goal in these videos is to try to show you where some possible price targets can be and try to get some better value with your hard-earned money and investments. So right here on the weekly, I like investing on the monthly and the weekly time frames. But right here, I'm wondering on the daily if we're seeing a good amount of green. And so if we go to the daily, we've had a couple buy signals and we are trending up. This blue line, the 200 moving average on the daily, I would like to see us get above that. You can see how it is resistance right now, but once we got through that last time, we shot up. Now, we have a couple areas of supports. We have this fib line right here at around 11. We have this ascending trend line, and then we also have resistance. We have all these moving averages, this fib right here, this trend line as well. So just something to keep in mind when we are coiling like this. Prices can explode either way, up or down. You can see we are overall in this somewhat macro downtrend. However, if we just drew lines from right here, yes, we've broken above it and maybe we'll get higher. And another thing I've noted is With Riot, we have these 2 points, and I'm wondering because this was the 2017 bull run, which coincided. This is the 2021 bull run. I'm wondering if we'll get back to that trend line. And if I take this fib and take it off log, one of the fib extensions, the 1618, is near that trend line. Now, all because it's below it does not mean it can't wick above. Maybe we just close right at this level. But 126, that would be about a 10x. And again, remember market cap. That would mean for a time, Riot could be worth around 30 billion if we did a 10x. Not saying it's going to or that it has to. But when you take a look at the last two bull runs, I know it seems crazy when I talk about this, like a 10x can happen so easily. Guys, this is what's happened the last two times. You could have got Riot at $4, and then if you sold near the top, look, it wicked up. It did a 10x to 40, and then came back down. Obviously, this was the COVID bottom. Now, maybe you bought at one of these areas when we were around that 100 moving average. Maybe you bought it at $3 over here. Hard to believe it got lower, but it did. You could have got it at $3, and if you sold the very top, you look at that, it was around 80. So almost a 30x between that 20 to 30x range. We will see if anything like that happens again. Again, I take a look at crypto with diminishing returns each cycle. And in my book, whether you're gaining a 10x, a 20x, a 5x, or even 50% a year, that's always a win. As long as you're making money, we're just trying to find deep value for things you like, things you believe in. Do not buy any stocks that you don't like, believe in, or do your research on. Now, there's a lot of stocks, a lot of altcoins. I can't research them all. If you've done the research, I am just showing you some technicals. Excuse me. I'm just trying to show you some technicals on where you can possibly get deeper value and some possible price targets as well, while trying to be reasonable. I'm not going to give you crazy predictions saying that Riot is going to 1,000 or anything like that. But I'm trying to show you with data of the price action that's happened before and what might be able to happen again should patterns continue. We'll see. Let's go to CleanSpark. And CleanSpark, high to low, you can see this chart's looking very strong. We are above our moving averages. And we are, let me zoom in here, see where we're at. We are above the 786. So that's pretty good. And as far as the yearly, yeah, everything's looking pretty bullish on the moving averages when we take a look at them on the daily, excuse me. And the weekly, this one looks like it wants to make new all-time highs, and we'll see how high it can go. It's anyone's guess. Does have a market cap just a shade under 5 billion, so take from that what you will. CleanSpark, now because this chart is looking better than the others, I would feel good if I had CleanSpark stock. Now, would I be buying right now? I would not. I do wait for these buy signals, and I only buy what I like and what I believe in and what I've researched. So this one overall, if I had some, I'd be feeling pretty good because the strength of the chart, it's above the moving averages, it's bullish. When we are above our moving averages, well above or well below, we can also take a look at the relative strength index, the RSI. And I would like to see this RSI just get a bit higher so we are completely bullish. If we were to end right here, you could argue that we have bearish divergence, which is higher in the price, lower in the strength. But right now we are about even, probably going to go higher. So this one is just looking pretty bullish to me. Next, let's take a look at Cipher mining. And Cipher mining, let's zoom out a bit here. I think I'll go back to the moving averages that I had on before, the 20, 50, 100, and 200. Let's hide those. So I drew my fib from the high to the low, and something I'll show you guys back here. Be cautious of the miners or the altcoins that come out near the end of the bull run or when we have already made all-time highs. Look at the date at the bottom here. When this IPO'd, it was as Bitcoin was breaking above its prior all-time highs in 2017. December 2020 is when it broke above that and started to go higher. And as you can see, if you got excited and you bought in, if you did not sell up here and make maybe a 2x at best, you could have been holding from this $10 price range all the way down to 65 cents. I've seen this with way too many altcoins and miners, so be careful. Any new product coming out now, because Bitcoin has already broken prior all-time highs, I am not touching, no matter how good the research I do looks at. Guys, I've read a lot of research on different altcoins, and some have looked great and did exactly this. So I would be extremely careful and not get into those. Let's take a look at the fib here and put it on log scale so we can get a better idea where we're at. Well, we are above the 618 and moving up, so that's pretty good. As far as the daily, yeah, you can see that we keep coming back down to this 0.5. However, recently we've started to curl up, and to me that looks promising. I would be hoping for higher moves, and maybe this thing can start to go parabolic. It looks like it's getting ready to. We'll see. Cipher is at 5.5 right now. It has a market cap of 1.6 billion. So again, if you're looking for it to do a 10x, you expect a market cap, at least for a little bit, to be around 16 billion. Now, as far as the market cap's getting up that high, guys, any time with altcoins or miners, I do not expect them to stay that high. And one thing I watch, well, there's a couple charts, but one I watch is the Bitcoin dominance chart. This is the overall percent of crypto money that is in Bitcoin, which is at 54%. Take a look at the bottom, the date there, December. When dominance tanks, that is when altcoins go parabolic. You have about 2 to 6 weeks. That is when altcoins just rip up, and maybe an altcoin or a miner you hold could 5-10x out of nowhere. Look at this, March to mid-May. Mid-May, that was when Bitcoin started to fall off. You can see the date at the bottom here, mid-May. That's when Bitcoin went from around 60,000 all the way down to 30,000. That, what was it, January 8th date right here, that's when we started to tank and fall off in a big way. So just something to keep in mind. You can watch the Bitcoin dominance, and that'll show you some good data. So Cipher, it is looking bullish. Maybe we'll finally get past the prior all-time highs over here. And next, let's take a look at TeraWulf. So TeraWulf, similar to Cipher, I have noted before, we are in this little wedge. I am happy to see that it wick above those trend lines, even if it's just a little bit. Maybe it's a fake out, who knows. So trying to get and stay above that 382. As far as recently, you can see when we zoom in, touched right on it. So I would like to see it close above this trend line to really confirm that we are getting bullish. Now, as we take a look on the weekly, we did get this buy signal down here, and you probably, I would assume, didn't catch all the way down here at $1.60. Maybe you caught it at about $2. TeraWulf does have a market cap of around $800 million, so a 10x would be $8 billion. And some of these fibs are levels that you can look for. Now, something to keep in mind is even from our current price of a little bit under $3, you can see that a 10x does not even take us to the all-time high. So even just returning to the all-time high or anywhere near it would be very good for TeraWulf. That is something else to keep in mind. During the 2021 bull run, there were many altcoins from the 2017 era that I saw did not break the prior all-time highs in 2017. Some of them only got up to the 618 or 786. So do keep that in mind, all because you're in crypto. Even if Bitcoin were to go to 200,000 by the middle of the year, I know it seems crazy, but if, let's say, 120 to 200,000, somewhere in there, does not mean every altcoin you hold or every mining stock will get that high. So TeraWulf, I do like this price action. I want to see it get above the 382, above this trend line, close above it. And I want to see, you can see this 100-week moving average. That is resistance right now. I'd like to see it get through there. And the 200, I know it's hard to see if we blow that up a little bit. All right, what's going on here? It's not working for me. Anyways, I hope you can see the blue line there. I'm not sure why that's not showing up. We'll try that one more time. Not sure. So the 200, it's light blue. I wanted to color it in. I probably have to clear the cache on this web page, but it's right near this 0.5. And the 200 is around 550. So just something to keep in mind. Apologize for the chart debacle there. Next, let's take a look at Bit Digital. We're going to fly through the rest of these here. Bit Digital, I don't like seeing anything when I measure from the high to the low come on up near the 0.5 and then get back under the 382. I want to see this stay above the 382. Now, we do have this long-legged doji candle, so maybe we'll get back up. We don't have a reversal in saying that we did get a buy signal. So I'd wait for confirmation to see if we can settle above the 382. You can make a bullish argument that we technically do have higher lows, but again, it's possible that we might just keep bouncing up. I don't know if you guys can see it, but that 200 moving average, you can see the dots on it at least. This has yet to truly close an entire candle above it. We've wicked above it. We've peaked above it, and it's right near that 0.5. Now it's falling under. It's at about 390. So I would like to see Bit Digital not just get above this 100, that teal line, but above this blue line, the 200 moving average. And if it gets above there in the 0.5 and actually closes, then to me that would look pretty bullish. But right now, all the weekly moving averages, they are resistance. I would like to see it break above. At first, get above this 382. Right? Did I say that right? Yeah. I'd like to see it get above the 382, and then, of course, the 200. That's going to be key there. Next, let's go to Bitfarms. And Bitfarms, let's take this fib and put it on log scale. And we have a $640 million market cap with Bitfarms. Right now, we are above the 0.5. We do have on the weekly this 150 moving average right around the 0.5, which is at $1.92. If you take a look a little closer, this blue line that the wicks have settled on, that's the 200-week moving average. So it's creating strong support. Maybe we're going to come back down to this trend line. I hope not, because we'd be getting through those moving averages. But maybe we're just going to bounce off this 200 moving average and keep chopping a little bit higher. By the way, I don't think I mentioned what the market cap was on the last one. So let me just do that real quick. 290 million for Bit Digital. Last two, let's take a look at Iris Energy Limited and then HUT. So this one, you can see it's coiling up. We have all those moving averages really close together, and this is looking for a way to go, whether violently up or down. It's forming this little mini flag pattern here, and you can see we did get a buy signal at around 470. So if you bought it right now, I wouldn't blame you. We are making higher lows. Let's take off the moving averages, and let's put on the relative strength index. I want to see if anything pops up here. So you can see that this is in a bearish downtrend from the peaks, but bullish uptrend from the bottom. So kind of just like what we're seeing over here, we still have this flag wedge pattern showing up. Let's take the fib and put it on log. I think I mentioned the market cap, but if not, a little over 600 million. And so what do we see here? Well, on log, we are right at the 0.5. And if we go to the daily, we are staying above the 0.5. So that's good. I would like to see this stay above the 0.5. And as we've done before and gone up above the 618, I would like to see this close and stay above the 618 instead of close and sink back under. So the 618, it has been resistance before. We seem to be building some strength and getting back to there. I would assume that maybe we stay above the 0.5, chop between the 0.5, 618 a little bit, and then hopefully shoot a bit higher. So any predictions you're willing to make, remember the market cap. Maybe you believe this can go to 5 billion and do something like an 8 to 10x. We'll see. Last, let's take a look at HUT. And guys, when I say 5 to 10x, again, that's best case scenario. HUT, what's interesting to this looks a bit like the Ethereum chart as far as what I remember. Now, keep in mind these two peaks here. I want to say it's Ethereum, kind of close to it. So Ethereum, we had those two similar peaks there as well. A little bit different structure, but relatively the same. And again, take a look at the bottom where the dates are. This was December 2020, November, December, when Bitcoin was breaking the all-time highs from 2017. We had HUT at $6, went up to 40, so did a 6 to a 7x, back down to 20, and then truly topped here at around 80 at that second peak right here. A lot of the altcoins and miners peaked in here. Some did wait. So me personally, if I'm getting something like a 7x and the Bitcoin dominance is tanking, I'm happy taking profits, even though, yes, this could have went higher. You can dynamically dollar cost average out or exit out as well. Maybe take a certain percentile, hold on to the rest, wait for bigger gains. That is up to you. Right now, it is staying above the 236. I know there's some legal troubles going on for HUT, which is one reason why the price is so low. Guys, I'll just say this. I would not be buying HUT. Me personally, I'm not going to. But one thing we talk about on this channel is when there's FUD and when there's fear, that can create good value. So maybe you're just trying to be an educated, degenerate gambler and look for some deep value. And I've seen this before with altcoins where they're absolute garbage. And when the bull run happens, if Bitcoin were to go to 120, 150K, they can run up anyways. Not saying that's going to happen for HUT, but maybe you already were holding on to some HUT and you want some bullish sentiment to believe in. If I had HUT back here, me personally, I wouldn't sell. I'd wait to see the conclusion of the bull run, Bitcoin dominance tank, and see if anything happens. Maybe it only goes up a little. I only take 50% profit. Maybe it goes up a lot. You never know, but just something to keep in mind. So guys, that does it for our analysis of the Bitcoin mining stocks. Some of them are already running, so if you got an early, great. Something else to keep in mind is we have the halving coming up at around April 22nd. And something I will show to you is that with Bitcoin, you can see on this blockchaincenter.net, we move up a logarithmic regression zone, these different colored lines, each halving. So the last halving, we got up into this accumulate zone. I'm wondering if we're going to be in the still cheap zone around the next halving, which would be between 52.5 and 69,000. Maybe we're going to be in there. Something else to consider is that we do have these corrections after the halving in Bitcoin, sometimes upwards of 30 or 40%. So not saying that has to happen. Who knows? Maybe we just keep going straight up like we did when we broke all-time highs here. There can be some minor corrections if you see where that black dot is. or even that 2017 bull run. Again, what I'm looking for that Bitcoin dominance to tank. When it tanks to the lower 40 percentiles, to me, that's what will signal that we are near the end of the bull market. I know Bitcoin made another high, the true all-time high somewhere in here, but during this time, that's when the altcoins, the miners explode. Last thing I'll say before signing off, guys, I don't know if you check the news or just news articles that come out on Google, but sometimes I'll see these articles from CNBC, MSN, a bunch of others. When the markets are bad, I swear to God, that's when I see all the bad articles about miners, how only half the amount of Bitcoin is going to be mined. So these companies are going to be half as profitable. I'll read that when the markets are going down. Inversely, when the markets are going up, these articles will say that because half the amount's being mined, it'll create a supply crunch, which will drive the demand and the price up higher. That always, oddly enough, seems to come out when the markets are bullish. So do your research, take from that what you will, hedge your bets, and put your money where your mouth is. Put your money into what you believe. If you don't believe in it, well, I'm going to question why you're even watching this video. But if you don't believe in it, don't invest. I don't encourage anyone to put money into anything they have not heavily researched and invested into. But if you do believe in it, and you do believe that the lower supply will drive up demand, as it has done for Bitcoin after the last 3 halving cycles, where it's gone up higher every time, we will see. Now, these are only 3 data points that we have, 3 halving events. We will see what will happen on the 4th one. This halving event is unique. We are in all-time high areas before the halving. That has never happened before. And I'm wondering if the markets are getting priced in and running up until the Fed decides to start cutting rates. I know that can sound like a bullish thing to many people, but in the past, cutting rates has typically been near the top of the markets, like for the dot-com bubble or the great financial crisis. When they cut rates, that was pretty close to where the S&P was peaked out. I can actually show you guys that real quick. So the S&P, if we go back, the red lines are the rate cuts. This was the great financial crisis, dot-com crash. The red lines are where they cut rates. And the bottom was within a year and a half to 2 years later. So all because they're cutting rates might not be the best thing. Maybe markets are just running up into the first rate cuts, and that's why we have crypto and stocks exploding right now. Just something to keep in the back of your mind when it comes to stocks and crypto. I do think that can be a factor. Inversely, if they cut rates and inflation starts to spike up, that can send markets down too. So we'll see what's going to happen. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any comments, put them below. If you're looking for any technical overview on any altcoins, stocks, please comment those below. I'd be happy to put those into my regular videos that I do each week. So hope everyone's doing well. Take care. Have a great day.